and welcome to Snack Time. You may notice we're doing something a little different this time. For one thing, you can see us.
I'm so sorry.
We're sorry, right?
Our makeup budget is very low.
Our makeup budget is very similar to our other budgets.
It's identical to our other.
So we're actually on. We're just gonna talk, and probably not play games, though. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, so how about we just go around the horn, since people can talk and people know who's talking.
We can talk?
Yeah.
So wait, what are we doing? We're going around the
Andrew,
horn.
the new part is not talking. We've always been able to talk. Now we can see and talk. Or now rather other people can see and talk.
I've been able to see
audio visual experience.
No,
I've seen before.
I always put on a blindfold during the podcast, so I always, in the live stream, so I always assumed that, I just couldn't see you guys because of the blindfold.
Oh man,
that explains that Spelunky run.
Yeah, it explains a lot actually.
I gotta itch
Mario
myself.
Kart,
Don't mind me.
Advance Wars, Luftrausers.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. Anyway, so
okay.
yeah. So I mean, I guess we don't really need to introduce ourselves because we got these handy little things. These handy little things. But yeah, so we can just talk about what we came here to talk about, which is E3.
Cool.
It happened.
Yeah.
It did.
We took enough time to, breathe.
I try to do that every day, Graham, but yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So let's start. You know what? Let's just jump into it. Let's talk about Microsoft. And Andrew,
Hey.
feels like that was this E3 was kind of for you in lots of ways, but Microsoft, I think specifically, was like, hey, Andrew, buy an Xbox One.
Yeah, I mean, if you were actually at the show, you saw when you're coming in E3 2014 for Andrew Pasquini, a big banner. I didn't see it, I wasn't there, but apparently it was awesome. So yeah.
You were there in spirit.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the banner was for. It was all for me. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I came into Microsoft with very low expectations, as I'm sure many people did after last year and just their whole approach to the Xbox One unveiling.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it wasn't
I was
good.
not expecting what we got, And
Yeah, I mean-
neither were you. Anybody
Yeah.
want to go look at our speculator results?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it was just like we're here. We're just gonna talk about nothing but games, and they pretty much did that. They had a mention of Halo series thing that was going to be in the anniversary collection. That was the 0.001% thing that wasn't a video game, but it was attached to a video game, so I guess that counts. But yeah, it was basically wall-to-wall games. There wasn't even introductions for half of them. I feel like there were more. The focus was even less on people on stage and more on just here's another trailer, here's more gameplay, here's another trailer, and it was they did exactly what they said they were going to do, and a lot of what they showed.
A lot of that
cool.
pace was, Microsoft has that 1 hour TV slot.
Yeah, exactly.
It just has to fit everything in, or
Yeah.
else.
Or
so,
else.
There's a lot of stuff where I would have liked to seen more. But as far as just here's announcements, I think Microsoft's show was pretty similar actually to Nintendo's in that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Here, we're just gonna run some trailers and then it'll be over and you can leave.
Yeah,
So,
half was stuff we knew about that looked cool still. Half was
Yeah.
stuff we didn't know about, but could be cool. I'm excited for some of it. They copied Sony and did the indie game thing, which was perfect. I thought I was okay, great. Everyone love indies. It's great. More games for us on consoles anyway. So yeah, I was really really happy. I think we're not gonna. I guess we can get into this at the end of the show, who had the better showing, or perhaps just maybe a ranking or rating or something.
Need
But
to do that,
no, but hey, I'm willing to say
EA
that
lost
Microsoft.
E3, and I think that's it.
Yeah,
Everybody
sure.
else won.
Yeah. Okay.
We got all of EA's points.
All I was going to say is, in terms of the press conferences, I think Microsoft's was my favorite because my expectations were so low,
And also
it's
everything was
because-
exactly the thing you wanted it to be.
Yeah, like there were very few things on at that show that didn't impress me. So
Yeah. So Henry, your thoughts?
They couldn't have done worse than last year, just because of what happened with Sony's conference when they just said like,
So
"Here's." I mean, I guess it can always go worse, but I would have bet.
there were worse Microsoft years than last year,
see,
but
that's the thing.
I
Last year's
was-
conference.
Yeah, I would have been shocked if they'd done worse than last year. To be honest, I sort of knew that. I mean, that was sort of the overall theme for me, is I was just impressed by all three. They sort of, you could tell they looked at last year's conference and the overall year and say, well, what do we need to do exactly to get sort of the core audience back or not be a joke? So I was impressed. I mean, I was impressed with all three, to be fair. Again, by comparison, like Andrew, my expectations were low, but I was still pretty sure they would have a better conference than last year. There wasn't the debacle of the always online DRM and the Xbox 180 jokes and all that. I think people have recovered from how bad the name is. They showed what I liked about other conferences. They showed a great combination of existing IPs and new franchises. So I was impressed. I liked it.
okay. So
Wait,
two things
I
about
think what helped. Wait, I think what helped both Sony and Microsoft this year. I didn't watch either of them because I didn't care. But they didn't actually have to sell their new consoles this year, so they could just focus on the games for their consoles.
Yeah, that helped. I think also having Phil Spencer up there, like he clearly is the guy for that job. Like he's always been great at those conferences, but like having him front and center the whole time basically was awesome. And just seeing how
very
many
little
wardrobe changes he had.
said hasn't made sense. You know,
Yeah.
like he's not out there. He's not doing like even that corporate line thing. Like in his interviews later, he's just like, yeah, hey, I was really excited about all that stuff Nintendo announced. Like just straight up, like, other games are also good, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Which I think that part's great. You know, he does definitely get it. I will say the one. Okay. Yeah. The 2 points I'll say. Last year's conference was not that bad.
I was going to say that too.
It was just followed by the Sony thing, so people kind of forget that it was okay. Like there were games and stuff. It wasn't like little kids playing Kinect and them talking about football and you know, like they announced Crimson Dragon and they put Below up on stage. Like it was decent.
There was a big absence of soccer mom skits and little children running around and fails of technology. So that.
Wait, Andrew, do you have your hand raised?
Yes, I like.
He's doing this.
I was gonna do this. I was gonna do. They were sandwiched. See the power of video.
Man, I want to sandwich.
Between like, beforehand with their terrible unveiling, and then afterwards with their with Sony's conference that kind of just made everyone forget Microsoft was even there.
Yeah.
Or at least remember them poorly because of everything Sony just came out with. So it was like their conference itself was great. Like they still had some like Connect stuff that wasn't that interesting, and some like TV, video, and like basically things that weren't video games focused there. But it was so minimal that it turned out to be a pretty good show. It's just that at the end of it, despite how good it was, no one would be able to still be able to shut up about all of their terrible policies and blah 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 and all that. And of course, like not even 2 weeks later, they turned all that around. So.
You guys can. I agree with you, Andrew. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. There seem to be a lot more games coming out to this console first, like DLC first coming to this. Is that like just a lack of exclusives on both sides, or is that just sort of the world we live in with DLC, and they're trying to get any advantage over the other system?
Both.
Yeah, I mean, so Microsoft's done that for a really long time with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of worked out because people play Call of Duty on, they played it on the 360, not the PS3. So it's one of those things where they can just pay for like, hey, how about you give us this like weapon skin first, or these missions 2 weeks early or something. It's a small thing to pay to get basically co-marketing dollars from Microsoft.
Yeah, and when you see the Call of Duty commercials, it's always it's on Xbox, and then they don't mention the other systems, even though they're on the other systems. They're on PC, they're on PS4, PS3, so it's all Microsoft has always been front and center. Yeah, the Wii, yep.
Somebody played those, probably.
Yeah, those are actually pretty popular.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, yeah.
But yeah, so the second thing I wanted to say is possibly the biggest hurdle for the name Xbox One is going to come with this Phantom Dust thing, as they revive a franchise that wasn't around for the 360.
So you're saying like
I have already seen people confused. You know that thing on the first Xbox?
Yeah.
It's now on the Xbox One. It's an Xbox One game.
Coming.
I just real quick. I'm really getting fed up with naming conventions now because it's now the new Crackdown is just called Crackdown. Phantom Dust is just called Phantom Dust. Add some, I know people don't like numbers anymore, but just slap a couple numbers there. It'll be okay. I promise.
Or I mean, as much as I hate subtitles, a subtitle.
Yeah.
Though I think I threw in the towel once we had 2 different Need for Speed Most Wanteds on the same console.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I guess I should have done the same. It still bugs me though. It still bugs me.
Then there was the year that we had
there. I would like
2 different Prince of Persia games.
Like, yeah, that's true. But the one's just Prince of Persia, and one's Prince of Persia. Wasn't the first one the Sands of Time, or am I?
No, the mid 2000s reboot. There was like an Xbox and a PS3 version, or a PS3 version, and then there was a Wii version, but they were both Prince of Persia. Completely different games.
Yeah. That part's always fun. But yeah, so I mean, I think Microsoft had a solid showing this year. I think Microsoft has had, regardless of whether it was the best showing of this E3, I think it was the best Microsoft showing in recent memory.
I will say, although I was going to get one anyway, I bought an Xbox One today, so I guess.
Hey, nice.
Let me guess, you got the version without the Kinect.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I will probably get a Kinect when, maybe not when Fantasia comes out, because Fantasia comes out the same day as 20 other games I want. But I will get a Kinect around the time Fantasia comes out just to play Fantasia, because that game looks really cool. I'm hoping there's a bundle with that and the new Dance Central and the Kinect. That would be perfect. I'll buy that. But yeah, right now I just don't really need a Kinect because there's nothing else I want to play with the Kinect. So.
Fair enough.
But hey, before we move on, anyone want to mention like the one game that stood out to you from Microsoft show?
Yeah.
How about we go around? You want to start, Graham?
Yeah, because mine's weird.
No, Graham likes the weird stuff.
Go figure.
Surprise! As will probably be the trend here, I tend to like things that aren't important enough to get announced at the event proper. I think the coolest announcement is, weirdly enough, threes that you can play snapping it to the side.
I was gonna make a joke that it was threes, but I didn't actually expect you to say it was threes.
Well, just like the idea of snapping an entire game over there while doing other stuff. It's like, okay, that's how you put threes on a console.
Yeah, I mean that's a cool idea.
Yeah. I mean, otherwise there's a lot of really cool things that I don't care that much about.
Henry?
I gotta go with the guys who made Limbo. I think Inside.
You stole mine.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Yeah, that's what you get for being a nice guy. No good deed goes unpunished. It's funny now with like movies. I think the public now is stopping following like specific movie stars. They look at more like the team behind it. So like the writer or the director. It's the same thing here. Like I'm purely excited because it's the same guys. Not probably all the same.
Also, it seems to have a similar vibe.
So. What's that?
Yeah. It seems to have a similar vibe. Like, you're not off on that. It's an atmospheric sort of quiet but tense sort of thing. So, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably lots
I'm sure there'll be horrific deaths and lots of... Hopefully not a spider.
I don't know if they can get away with the horrific deaths anymore, because I think it was okay. It was kind of okay in Limbo because it was all black and white, but now it's actually color. And I don't know.
That's true.
I mean, they probably might still.
Big fan of Limbo and games like Limbo where they try something different. I mean, every part of that game, you could argue, I mean, that's one of the best looking games I've ever seen. So I have a lot of faith in these guys. That's what I'm most excited about.
Cool.
So Ingersoll doesn't care about Microsoft, so I won't even ask. Sorry.
Come on, Ingersoll. Nothing.
You could You can just say you're really excited about that Master Chief Collection. We know.
Yeah. Of all the Halos.
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting for. My one-stop Halo shop.
In terms
It's
of,
not. There's Halos that aren't on it.
I know.
yeah, that's a shame. My favorite Halo isn't on it. You have
Halo
players
Wars?
versus- Yes, exactly. Halo Wars. I love Halo Wars. In terms of stuff we actually saw gameplay for, I'd go with Sunset Overdrive because again, this was announced last year. We've seen gameplay recently, but actually seeing another extended demo of it, it looks really cool. I love Insomniac, and I think they're doing some really cool stuff here. And that trailer they showed was kind of hilarious and maybe a little ironic considering the show started with Call of Duty and then went to Sunset Overdrive and then went back to another kind of military-like thing, and then I don't know. It was a weird trailer, but it was funny. So I don't know. They got the point across. I don't know. I think that game looks great.
You like Insomniac a lot, so I think you have confidence in their abilities to, basically it seems to combine their expertise in making something like Ratchet with their expertise in making something like Resistance. So
exactly. Yeah, and plus it kind of has this kind of Jet Grind Radio feel, which is always an A+ in my book.
Yeah, I got that feeling too. Yeah,
just needs that soundtrack. Just needs that.
Yeah.
Probably won't be as good.
No, but it's still close enough, I guess. That soundtrack is
just
the best
put the
part.
Jet Grind Radio soundtrack on.
You could. Well, I mean, you could just play it yourself and mute the audio.
Yeah, done. Custom soundtracks.
Yeah. I also just want to mention real quick, even though we don't really know much about it except Dragon's Scalebound, and it's platinum, so I'm going to buy that.
That did look really good. I caught the trailer for that. That looked really good.
I like platinum, so I'm all on board. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Want to talk about
Sony?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can talk about Sony. Let's start with Andrew, because they seem to announce a lot of stuff you liked. This was your show. This was your show.
How come Andrew gets his own E3? Whose palms did you grease, Andrew?
I like all of the games except for like MMOs and sports games and MOBAs. So they didn't have any of EA's press conference with some sports games, but we don't care about EA.
Well, it did have a couple sports games. That's true.
Yeah.
Those weren't.
I was gonna say you're gonna dispute the sports games that EA.
Those were like the few games that were actual footage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or actual footage that wasn't like from 2 months in development, like that Criterion thing. Anyway, yeah. Sony. Sony's wasn't as tight as last year's, mostly because I feel like there was that like middle part where they started talking about PlayStation Now and the PlayStation TV, which were really cool.
Yeah.
And then Comic Book Dude came out. Brian Michael Bendis came out. I just could call him Comic Book Dude. He came out.
So since those parts are annoying and no one likes them, let's talk about them for a little while.
No, I just want to get the bad out of the way. There was that middle of the conference that was just like.
So PlayStation Now is actually kind of cool.
Yeah,
As a concept. That's all that I can speak to.
I have no faith in streaming stuff yet. Yeah, it's like I can't.
Well,
the idea is cool.
have
It's getting better.
more confidence in this working for some strange reason.
You have more confidence?
I do.
Okay.
But yeah, so enough about that.
Graham, are you buying a PlayStation TV?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to do that anyway. But now I get access to the North American store, which is great. That was the next thing I wanted to talk about. Was that seems like a good pivot for marketing that device, because selling it as a Vita is not great, but then again, it still gets to be a Vita, so people can still get to use it for that.
Nobody cares about the Vita, not even Sony. Moment of silence for the Vita.
We're going to get so many angry people.
Yeah. Okay, but then that third thing is, like, I'm not so mad about them talking about this show that they're giving away for free to everybody with PlayStation Plus. You know.
I'll just say this. I think that only having an hour really benefited Microsoft, and having an hour and a half or a little more than that didn't benefit Sony. So I think.
Yeah, I think they had roughly equivalent content, frankly.
Yeah, it's just that there was
just they had time.
Yeah. Which, is fine. I think they showed a lot of cool stuff. Let's talk about that cool stuff. Like,
Okay.
for example, hey, Entwined, I played like a little of it, but it seems really cool. And it's cool that they just came out and said, hey, free game. Well, not free game, but it's out now. And
yeah,
I wish it was free.
as you know, I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Microsoft.
it is available now.
Microsoft did it too with that Dead Rising 2 DLC. And
yeah, man.
which seems cool. Not as cool as a full game, but still.
Yeah, I would have loved that to be like a standalone, downloadable using
Yeah.
the engine or something. But
I wish that was, but yeah.
It's just a nice change of pace because we probably hear about 400 pieces of information about a game before it finally comes out. So it's nice to actually, like you mentioned, it's nice to be like, here you go. It's ready for you right now.
And we didn't have it
nice
from
change of
Nintendo
pace.
this year, but we've had it previously.
Yeah. So it Entwined, like that was a cool, like really small game to kind of start with. Like, well, they didn't start with that, but they started with a couple of big things. Like the Order, they showed off briefly. Seems okay. I like the way the game looks. I don't know if I like the way the game plays, or I probably will, but I don't know if I'll like it enough to spend $60 on it. But
Yeah.
seems visually really cool. I like the atmosphere and the kind of the setting. They went to that. What did they start with before that? I swear there was something before that. Was it just like? I feel like they had something right before the Order. I don't know if it was.
I forget.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There was
Clearly wasn't that important.
Yeah, I guess
some kind of internet that we could check.
But
I mean,
moving on from
wait,
Entwined.
Was that when they showed the Metal Gear thing?
No, that was near the end.
Okay. I just know they did it.
Yeah.
And then people didn't care.
I don't know. It'll come to us, I'm sure, if it was important.
Yeah.
So Entwined, and then they moved to the conference is kind of a big. Oh yeah, the Infamous DLC, and then which seems cool, and then they started announcing a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
Like, what was the first big thing? I think they went right from that to Bloodborne. Maybe.
People seem to like the idea of Bloodborne.
You know what? I might try it out. I've tried except Dark Souls 2. I've tried both Demon Souls and Dark Souls, and I play for an hour. And I'm like, this is really cool, but I can't play any more of this. I just can't do it. Spelunky is enough punishment for me, personally. I don't need more of that, personally. I mean,
in case I feel like I need to eat a slice of humble pie, I'll know which game series to go to.
I mean, I'll probably still try it, because I think it seems different enough that it might be worth checking out. Maybe it'll win me over, but all the interviews and stuff about it make it seem like it's going to be another one of those games. So if you don't like those, you probably won't be won over by this. But a lot of people like those, so they'll probably be won over by this. They got a big win with that one, I think. Even though they didn't show any gameplay, which is weird because they had gameplay leaked beforehand. You'd think there would be at least some kind of gameplay, but anyway, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's just talk about like what interested us.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure.
So Andrew, since you got scooped last time, what was most interesting to you?
Most interesting. All right, man.
All of it.
Well, yeah.
You lost your chance, Andrew. Sorry.
Hey, no. I already wrote about No Man's Sky for for our most anticipated feature that went up today. So I mean that's definitely it. Like I don't know if that game will live up to everyone's high expectations, but it seems really cool, and the fact that it's being made by such a small team. Like I love ambitious projects, even if they don't aren't fully as good as they might seem. Like I appreciate small teams that go out and try something crazy, and I love space combat. I love the idea of just exploring, and I don't know, that's all like perfect for me. So I'm really excited about that. But if I'm going to name something that wasn't mentioned there, actually no, never mind. My second thing was I already mentioned that too.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
Andrew, what was your 13th favorite thing?
Andrew, I got it.
Okay, hey.
Knowing as I do how much you're interested in acclaimed PlayStation 1 game Vib Ribbon, I was wondering your thoughts on Mortal Kombat X.
You got it. Yeah, Mortal Kombat X. That Vib Ribbon mention was like...
It was a big lead up to a Mortal Kombat X trailer.
the weirdest thing. They mentioned it twice. I feel like a lot of people harp on this, so I don't think we should. But they mentioned it
Yeah, I
once.
just wanted
like,
to. It's
yeah.
just the most absurd thing.
Yeah.
I don't
think
know. I
Mortal
mean, like,
Kombat-
they're not the only ones who did it either, you know? Because we'll get to Nintendo later, but like, hey, Mario 3! I mean, I don't
thought
know.
that was
There's a
funny.
line between acknowledging it and, like, fulfilling the
Somebody
demand.
went too far because they mentioned it twice. The first time was just like, "Hey, this cool guy is associated with this cool game,"
And they put it up on
Everyone welcomed him.
screen, and
Yeah.
yeah, man.
And then it's mentioned again as like, just because we want to twist the knife.
Twisting the knife. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yep.
but anyway, I just want to mention real quick, even though again I already wrote about it. The most exciting announcement from Sony's event was Grim Fandango because that's one of my favorite games ever, and I didn't believe it. I thought it was a cruel prank. I don't know. It seemed too good to be true that
Might
game is
still be a
actually going to
prank.
be.
So, like, it's not a new Grim Fandango.
No, it's not a new Grim Fandango. It's a re-release / maybe remaster, remake of the. I don't know. I don't know if it's actually.
Probably for the best that it's not a new one, because I don't think I could trust anybody. Like, I have never played that game, and I'm a little upset that I won't be able to play this version either. But
It's probably
I
going to come to PC. I mean, it'll probably get re-released on PC.
well, I don't know. Maybe then.
You should
But
play
yeah,
it, like,
I don't think I would
eventually.
trust, like, outside of Telltale, really, I don't think anybody could build a game like that again. I don't even think Tim
Yeah,
Schafer
I mean,
could build that game again.
I don't think they're going to build it again. I think, if anything, it'll be like when they re-release the two Monkey Island games, there might be like some kind of visual overhaul, but I don't think it'll be that different.
Like
I
a
think it's
Halo
basically-
anniversary style thing.
Yeah. I think if anything, it's just a really cool way to both play that game on a console, but also re-release it on PC because I think Schaefer, like right after the press conference, said, "Oh yeah, it'll probably come out on PC too." So
Yeah.
that's just because that game hasn't been available digitally anywhere. Like,
Is that still, like, under Disney, since they own?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm curious to know if that would have happened had they not.
Sony worked
picked up
with
LucasArts.
Disney and LucasArts to make this happen because, some weird licensing stuff. But
Yeah, and from what I've heard the story, like, Sony
Yeah.
was talking to Disney in the hopes that Double Fine would help, but didn't ever loop Double Fine in on it until they were like near the final stages, and then Tim Schafer's like, "Hey, wait, what are you doing with my game?"
trying to steal our
yeah.
game that we're trying to get.
Yeah.
But
So-
then it all came together, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, that there was, other than them announcing a new Vib ribbon, there was nothing that would have surprised me more at that event. I mean, you could probably name some things now, and I'll say, oh, I guess you're right. But I'm just gonna say right now, there's nothing that would surprise me.
Yeah, I've done that before. It's fine. I know what you're trying to say, and I'm not going to undermine your point.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Graham. Thanks.
Yeah. But yeah, so I can talk about what I was excited about because I don't know.
Yeah,
I
I
guess
feel like
that's what I was excited about.
I feel like I've been talking for too long, so you go ahead.
So do you know what I was excited about? Do you know?
Obscure Japanese RPG 7.
There wasn't one of those in the conference.
No, I know.
Though we can talk about Type 0 HD at some point.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like
Yeah.
No, I don't. I probably do, but I'm blanking on it right now.
Little Big Planet 3.
Oh, right!
Oh, I forgot about that.
So
I
this
forgot about
time
Little
you
Big
can
Planet
just be
2,
a bird
though.
and fly over everything, which fixes the problems with that game. The gameplay. You just sit there.
See,
Did you still have that thing where it was really hard to the 2D, 3D thing with the plane switching?
Yeah, and then the physics jump was always a problem.
that's
Very
why.
floaty, from what I remember. I
But
could
yeah,
never quite.
so-
Wasn't. Yeah.
The only disappointing part of this is that this game is being developed by Sumo Digital, which I really like. Sumo has made some really cool stuff lately, and that's why it's disappointing because it means like they're not working on another All Stars Racing right now. Instead, they're working on Little Big Planet 3. But I mean, that's just me being picky.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was. I think it was the
You
most.
can't have both, eh?
Yeah. It was kind of like the most like. Maybe I'm just misremembering something, but it seemed like as soon as the last thing they were showing off was done, all of a sudden it like cut and there was a Little Big Planet 3 logo on the screen. No like lead up.
Yeah, no, it was just like, hey, and it wasn't even a trailer. It was like
Hey, here's a game.
demo. Yeah.
Yeah. that demo, even though it went a little long, was really cool.
Because they couldn't jump right.
Yeah, they clearly didn't reverse it, which is both cool and kind of stupid. But hey, it made for an entertaining demo.
Can you imagine being a presentator at the presentation, just like this cold sweat, this second you know something's gone wrong, and you're just like, oh, come on.
Whenever I think of things going on,
we're just like trying to stall for time. It's so awkward. Like a second feels like a year. It must be so brutal.
Whenever I think of technical issues or hiccups at Sony's conference, I always think of the Wonder Book thing from like a few years back, where that just stopped working, and then the lady on stage had to like kind of pretend, because then they cut to like some other footage of it, and the lady had to pretend she was going along with it, and she just had to act cool, and she did an okay job with it, but it was so obvious when it happened.
She did what she could, like, yeah.
You felt so bad for her. It's just like she's up there on the stage pretending to wave this move controller.
It's one of those things, man. Like, no matter how much preparation you do, life's always going to throw a wrench at you. Wasn't there some problem with the Wii when it first came out because the sensor was picking up a lot of other interference or something like that? Do you guys remember something like that? Or am I crazy?
Well, there's been, like, in the demos before the thing came out, it was being presented in areas that were bright and maybe had multiple sensor bars.
Yeah.
And the sensor bars, you know, as we know at this point, are just little lights. And so all the like processing work is done in the remote, so it's not like these lights are for this system. So that was the main problem with that. But I think they may have in the final units like dimmed the plastic a little further, so that would be harder to pick up. But I mean, still at this point, you can just like point it at any two lights a distance away from each other, and it works.
But yeah, I mean, anyway, Little Big Planet 3.
Yeah, I'll play it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, although I feel like they are hopefully fixing some of the problems with that game, my interest in it kind of forgot it existed once Nintendo announced a certain thing that we'll get to, and I was like, I'm just gonna play that instead. Yeah.
Okay. So Henry, let's get to you, and then we'll get to that thing.
YouTube. No, I'm just kidding.
What?
YouTube's coming to PS4. Very exciting. It's my favorite part.
Oh, right, yeah. Okay.
I hear YouTube's alright.
Yeah, I've gone to it a couple times. I don't normally get excited for sort of remasters. I know GTA 5 is coming out on PC soon. Everyone's getting really excited about that. But if I have to have another excuse to play The Last of Us, I guess I'll take it. Like, I know it's going to look amazing. I'm sure they'll add a few things. But part of me is like, I don't know if I can make it through that game again. I may just want to have that as like a one-time thing, one-time experience. So, but I was still excited to see that. So I'd say that tied with Uncharted 4. I would say.
Have you played the DLC yet?
No, I haven't. No. The thing is, I don't actually own the game. I borrowed it from a buddy and gave it back, so I'm gonna have to get it back from him.
That DLC is really, really good.
I know. I've heard. Yeah. So yeah, I would say I'm excited for that. I'm gonna own all three consoles eventually. I wouldn't say PS4 or the Xbox One really brought anything to the table that makes them a must-buy for me yet, but they're getting close.
I kind of hope, although I don't think they're going to do it, I kind of hope they do that upgrade thing for Last of Us, but I don't see them doing it. That's certainly the only way. I do want to get it, but I don't want to pay a full price for that game again.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's coming out in July when there's nothing coming out, so I might just be desperate enough to buy it, because that's me. When there's no games coming out, I just feel like, I guess I'll buy this re-release of a game I played last year.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. See, GTA 5 lends itself to replayability, right? Because I mean, there's so many areas to explore, and you don't have to.
Yeah, GTA 5 would be a good one, I think. The only problem is.
But Last of Us, like, I don't like. It's such a tremendous game. One of the best I've played in the last 5 years. Certainly one of the top 10 of last console generation. I just don't know if I would get the same impact of playing it again. So
yeah, I have that problem with replaying games as a whole.
I switched my answer to the Uncharted 4 snippet. I'm switching my answer. Make it known, guys. Let the scribes scribe in their books. H. Ski's most interesting moment was the Uncharted 4 trailer.
I'm writing it down.
Andrew, write that shit down.
Yep, I got it.
Right, write that down.
Beep.
Moving along. I'm done. Moving along. Ingersoll.
Yeah.
Ingersoll, you got to be interested in something, man. Come on.
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
I get
man.
40 minutes and like 3 days of Treehouse Live to talk about, so let's move.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so
Moving
Nintendo.
on.
Nintendo just generally the king of E3 announcements. Not that they win, but that people are excited about them kind of regardless.
Oh yeah.
And in that respect, it did not disappoint.
Nope.
Yeah. So, you know what? Chris, let's jump in. What was most exciting to you from Nintendo's event?
Let's give Ingersoll his time.
Most excited? I have to pick one of my children?
Well,
No.
do you get 3 because you
However
you
many
didn't
of
get
your
anything
children?
for Microsoft? And
Yeah,
Sony?
he should get 3 because he didn't pick one for Microsoft or Sony.
Like I said in the roundtable that went up this morning, like 2015 is going to break me in half because I'm gonna get like Monster Hunter 4. I'm gonna get Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Yep.
They've suggested that's when we're gonna get the Wii U Zelda. I believe that one that actually ships by the end of that year. Also 2015, I'm assuming that's when Splatoon is coming out, and Splatoon, I think, stole the show.
It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. It's pretty cool.
That, like,
That's a big one.
that's one of those things where we'll talk about Treehouse Live later, but I think like the announcement of that was really weird. But then once I've seen people play it for like an hour or two, I'm like, yeah,
I'm
I want to
in.
play that game.
I think part of the reason it has people talking so much, or continues to have people talking, is because after like a day of like a lot of military shooters or just like traditional first-person, third-person shooters,
White
see something
male
like that
bullet
from-
simulator.
yeah, you see something like that from Nintendo, and it's like it's still kind of a third-person shooter, but it's so different.
But it's like with the
So,
Nintendo
yeah.
stamp, it's cartoony
exactly.
and colorful and non-lethal, and
It's like everyone's like, "Ooh, this is bright and colorful,
Emphasis is
and I don't
on
have to kill
fun.
people, so let's play it."
But
And now
it's also
everyone's
not
excited
like
about
less strategic,
Yeah.
Man.
Yes. No, I mean that's probably one of the big reasons. Also, it just looks it's just a really cool concept. So.
Also, the name's great.
Yeah, Splatoon.
but other than all the stuff that we have to wait a year for, later on this year, of course, I'm getting Bayonetta 2, which is also giving me the chance to play Bayonetta 1, which
That's
is
amazing.
a nice bonus.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there are the Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
Sorry, what
Smash
game is that?
Brothers?
I've never heard of that.
Right? They think they would have mentioned that once or twice. But,
How many-
they
how
kind of
many
glossed
brothers?
over it for other things.
You
There's
mean
2.
Super
There's
Smash
2.
Brothers for Wii U and Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo 3DS?
I really wish they'd come up
love
with
this.
better names for
Those
those. Yeah,
can't be the
but
name. Those cannot
I
be the
love it.
name.
You know what? At first I thought it was terrible. Now I love it. I usually go to No, listen to this.
Come on, man.
I just want to go to a store and say, "Hey, I want Super Smash Brothers for Wii U." Thank you.
I'm certainly
I think it's
specific.
hilarious.
That's what moms say when they go to the guy at the store to get a game for their 9-year-old kid. You got to have a name. Who's naming
Then I'll,
this
okay,
stuff?
then I'll have my mom buy it for me, and it'll be perfect.
Soon they're just going to come out with video games called Video Game.
I like video
Yes,
games.
I like video
There's probably an
game,
indie project
please.
out there right now,
Oh,
actually.
video game for Wii U, please. Come on.
Video
This
game
seems
won't be
lazy.
I just
It
want to
seems
say
like either lazy or they're scared of offending people.
real quick. I just want to say, Henry, how upset you get at names in general.
I know.
I find it hilarious.
Like major announcements to the industry where you guys are worried. You're like, not that worried. They're like, and they're naming it this. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Xbox One.
What? Xbox One sucks.
agree.
Uh-oh. I'm so mad I moved my webcam. That's how mad I
And
am.
there are even a few things Nintendo showed that I am personally not interested in, but I know at least one or two people in this conversation are. In that the new Canvas Curse.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Captain Toad.
I thought you-
Then there's Yoshi's Yarn, Woolly World, whatever the hell that was called.
Woolly World. Yes.
That looked amazing.
What could Henry be interested in?
Some sort of. I don't know.
Hyrule Warriors, right? That's what that means.
That's right, Hyrule
Hyrule
Warriors. That's my Hyrule Warriors. Rah!
Throw up the extra Hyrule. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting year and a half
I
for
like a lot of this. I was like, the one we both like. I was like, I've had conversations with Andrew about Captain Toad. Like, no, that was not the one you were talking
Man.
about.
Oh man,
Well,
when
I'm
I
gonna
saw
get there,
that, Graham, I'm like, oh, Graham's gonna be loving this.
Yes,
man,
someone got
oh.
Graham's Christmas wish.
Captain Toad, man.
So it's coming out this year too. So it's like I want it.
Yep. Captain
Well, they needed a
Toad,
product
yeah.
for this year, so that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with it. I just the pressure on it is a little much.
Can I talk about Kirby real quick?
No,
No.
you can talk about
This
it
is
slowly.
neither the time nor the place.
Okay.
No, of course you can. Come on.
Kirby looks really cool. I like the claymation art style a lot, although I think that might be that might be a weird choice for the Wii U because you're not ever going to look at the TV ever. I mean, it works because it's a screen.
Well,
but
the thing I heard, again, I'm loving the Treehouse Live thing because they talked about it, and the developers intentionally cut the frame rate to make the claymation effect more convincing.
that's really cool. That's
Yeah,
actually really
right?
cool.
Just like these little things, like
Great.
Yeah, that's pretty
that
cool.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm on board. I just love when Nintendo experiments with Kirby. I wrote all about it. It's great. Although this isn't something brand new, it's still cool. And yeah, I mean,
It's new enough.
Yeah.
We only got like one tiny DS launch game of it, so
Yeah, exactly. So, and yeah, I think that looks great. I also love when Nintendo tries new art styles. Again, Yoshi, although it's not it is kind of the yarn thing again, but it's different enough because it's like 3D characters.
Yeah, it's not
instead of
outlines.
2D.
Yeah,
So
and also
looks
like it
even
isn't-
cooler.
it doesn't use those mechanics really, So
It's a Yoshi game without Baby Mario, and I think that's something we can all be proud of and happy with. I consider, like I said on Twitter, I consider that their apology for every Yoshi game since the original Yoshi's Island.
Yeah.
I accept. I know
Yep.
Graham likes maybe one of those or two of those. You like the new one, right? Kind of.
which new one?
Yoshi's Island. You like that a little?
Yoshi one was alright.
Yeah. Do you like Yoshi's Story?
Yes.
Mm.
I don't think it's good, but I like it. If that makes any sense.
That's fair.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
It's what one might call personal preference.
Guilty pleasure.
It's what some might call being desperate and owning a Nintendo 64. It's like,
Awesome.
oh well, what?
Did you finish that
what
game?
$75
Remember booting
product
up-
that will last me 2 hours will I
I
buy
was
now?
gonna say, did you finish that game the day you got it? Like my friend did. He was so
Yeah.
mad about it.
I mean, that was the N64 is a great rental system because
Yeah, exactly.
Kirby 64 was crazy short. Pokemon Snap was an hour and a half. Like, it's just, hey, this is great for an evening as long as you don't
Exactly.
buy it.
We're booting up Yoshi's Story, and like, isn't the opening theme just like the high-pitched baby Yoshi's screaming? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna do the song, but as soon as I boot up, I'm like, I'm excited. And I heard that, I'm like, oh no, I'm not as excited. This is gonna be an unpleasant experience.
Yeah, but anyway, so this one looks pretty good,
Mhm.
and
I'm excited.
Goodfield has made a good Yoshi-ish game. Goodfield has made a good Wario-ish game. So
Good feeling Yoshi games too. So.
yeah,
What else? What was I going to mention? Oh, Mario Maker, which is what I was hinting at before. In case anyone didn't understand, I guess. Yeah, I think I mean I'm not one for creating things in games because I usually like mess around with maybe make 2 levels that are kind of cool and like I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to play what other people are making. So that's why Little Big Planet didn't really work for me because it involved actually playing that game. And Mario Maker is just Mario game but with custom levels. So I'm just like, oh great.
I do like how you can switch between the old school style and the new stuff. Though that was
I really hope they add Super Mario World.
oh, how cool would that be?
I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan of that art style, but I think that's my
Yeah.
favorite.
No, almost everybody will like Super Mario World. That's pretty.
I
dope.
just hope they go like full Super Mario crossover with just like, hey, how about we just put Metroid stuff in there?
Sure.
And, I don't know, maybe Zelda 2.
Hey, yeah.
How about Kid Icarus?
I still haven't played Zelda 2.
I'm sure they'll put Balloon
Don't
Fight
tell
in there.
anybody.
Fine.
NES
Oh.
Remake Maker? NES Remix Maker? Is that what you want?
Yeah. But just like at this point, like
That'd be cool.
they just put the pieces in there, right? Like.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
But-
sure. I'll be on board with that.
I don't know.
It seems like a really cool idea that I hope they actually do a lot with because a lot of what I've heard is that you can only make short levels and you can't actually go down
What they
pipes and
had
things
was
like
very
that.
limited at the show, but
this is
the
also-
ambition is larger.
Did you guys see the picture of Miyamoto playing with those kids?
That was pretty
No.
cool.
Mario Maker? He just looks so happy, man. It's just a great smile. What a guy.
Yep, what a guy.
What a guy.
I agree. But yeah, so okay, so more Nintendo things because I was excited about once again the things that were not announced actually at the event. And
I know this one. I know this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Project Steam.
That was one of the ones. I don't think that was where he was going first, but that's one of the ones.
Yeah, so Codename Steam.
Codename Steam.
Japanese RPG 8.
Yes, actually, yes.
That's much.
We'll get
Gotcha,
to that. But, let's talk about Codename Steam for a second because Intelligent Systems, the Fire Emblem and Advance Wars people, looked at XCOM and Valkyria Chronicles, and to a certain degree, I think Skulls of the Shogun, and we're like, hey, I want to copy all of that at once. And then also they read like old American comics.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
now we have a game that is, so it basically plays like Valkyria Chronicles with XCOM mechanics, and like Overwatch and things like that. But then also it has the you can move and you don't commit until you do something thing,
Or
which
till you
is
get
a
surprised.
thing.
What you're saying is it's going to be as good as XCOM and Valkyria Chronicles combined?
I'm not saying that. I'm very specifically not saying that. I'm not setting the bar to the combination of two
You're
of my
a good
favorite games of all
speculator, and
time.
if you were 100% certain on that, I'd be really excited.
Graham says Codename Steam is Game of the Year 2015 already.
Tweet it.
He said it.
Tweet it out.
I feel like I did not say that.
He's changing his my favorite.
Well, 3 against 1.
He's changing his my favorite game post to
against
Codename Steam right now as we speak.
Make it 3.
I think it will be interesting.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's actually that's what I
can't tweet that, though.
expected
Don't
to say.
tweet that.
It seems like the perfect thing for you. It's Intelligent Systems making what is basically a combination of Valkyria Chronicles and XCOM, which are like some of your favorite things and one of your favorite developers.
I'm
All
not
in one.
a huge fan of the aesthetic. It's a little too off the wall, I think. But I think I could warm up to it. It does look way better in motion if you've only seen the screenshots.
It's kind of like that for every 3DS game, but yeah.
Yeah, but I think specifically like this new aesthetic was like off-putting to people, but it's a little more natural,
Yeah.
and not just that it looks a little rough and yeah.
You were
But
going to mention something else?
yeah, so the thing I wanted to talk about was that Nintendo is localizing Fantasy Life.
Oh yeah, right.
I
Which
feel really bad about this.
because you just lost 900 hours of your life, Chris?
No, that's the thing. It's like you said, like appeals to people like Animal Crossing, Dragon Quest IX, and Monster Hunter. And if you like more than one of those things, you should really love it. I wasn't feeling it.
Really?
I watched them play it, and I'm like, no.
Why were you feeling it, Ingersoll?
I don't know. It just didn't feel. It felt weird, really. It was like putting almost like combat in Animal Crossing seemed like it was crossing a line that shouldn't have been crossed.
I'm all on board with that.
I could see myself coming around, but as of like watching the Treehouse playthroughs, I'm like,
Yeah. It's maybe like a little less Animal Crossing meets Dragon Quest IX meets Monster Hunter, and maybe more Rune Factory meets Dragon Quest IX meets Monster Hunter.
yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, it's just so for those people who aren't well versed in Fantasy Life, and I forgive you, level 5 in cooperation with the studio formerly known as Brownie Brown and currently as One Up Studio, the people who made Mother 3, and the London Life game from the Last Spectre.
I don't like that either. Yeah, it was Last Spectre.
But yeah, so they have made this thing where it's like a JRPG, like an action RPG, except for you don't necessarily need to be the protagonist, basically. That you can just be like, you can choose jobs and live out your life in this sort of world. You can be like a blacksmith. You can go out and chop down
miner,
trees, plant stuff.
Yeah, tailor.
Yeah. But then, I mean, but you can do multiple ones of these things, and the more you do of them, the better you get at them. It's even to the point where, like, the more you hold down the sprint button, the better you are at sprinting. But you can play this by yourself or with up to 3 other people. And there is going to be online functionality that was not in the original Japanese game, but they re-released it with online functionality, and that's the version we're getting. So the whole thing is that basically, and like you don't have to stick together. You can just be in people's worlds, just hanging out, building up your character. And it just seems like it's just really ambitious, but also it works. I've played a little bit of the Japanese version, but it's a little difficult to parse without being in the native language.
I'm excited for it too.
Yeah,
I'm just wish it wasn't coming out in October.
Okay, I'm gonna like chop down all the trees, and you guard me while I chop down all the trees. Deal?
Sure. Yeah.
Aww.
Cool.
We can do a live stream of that.
We
Oh,
can
yeah.
actually.
I'll point my webcam at the 3DS, so we'll make it work.
Yeah.
We can get a Patreon going for 3DS capture hardware and see how that goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that just seems cool. Also announced finally a North American release date for Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney.
Yet
I'm
another
excited
October
for that.
release, right?
No, that's August.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah. End of August. August 29th.
Oh right, yep. That's the end
I
of
was
August.
thinking I got that confused with the Pokemon. Never mind.
Yeah.
You're
Pokemon.
also due
October, aren't you?
Yeah. And also Smash Brothers for 3DS is October as well, and Bayonetta 2 is October as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
So,
I mean,
yeah.
Nintendo's not smart about this stuff. You
Yeah.
know,
Putting
like,
it bluntly, yeah.
what rational company with problems getting a lot of games out to sustain the year would say, I don't know, release Mario Golf and Kirby on the exact same day?
To be fair, Bayonetta feels like an October release. That's like witches and demons and all that good stuff.
I
That
mean,
should be an October
And
release.
if you only own a Wii U like you do, Chris, then you probably won't have too much else to play besides a couple of other small releases. So
Right.
yeah, but I don't know how many people only own a Wii U. I feel like that game's gonna
Bayonetta
be
2,
buried.
while its theme works well in October, I think from like a sales and pacing perspective, it would have been
Yeah.
better in that like
The Dead Zone in the summer.
that Metroid spot, like the late August release.
Yeah.
September, because Wonderful 101 was also September, so
Yeah.
there's really not much coming out in September either. I feel like it's all
Or
October
July.
or July. There's nothing coming out in July.
Help. Send help.
Except
help,
for that
no,
Last
no,
of
no,
Us
no,
right
don't
now.
video
Video
game
game releases
releases.
good. I need time to catch up. Don't listen to them, big video game companies. We need them
You're
on
never
top.
going to catch up, Henry.
Yes,
you're
I
not
am.
gonna-
I'm so close. Close.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, but yeah.
Yeah.
I think they had a really good show. I personally give this a slight edge to Microsoft only because they actually exceeded my very low expectations versus Nintendo, which I didn't really know what to expect from Nintendo. Like I feel like
Is that
Yeah.
that's just grading the actual press conference or equivalent,
yeah,
right?
just the conference as a whole. I feel like Microsoft's was my favorite, but Nintendo's was a very close second. They both had some really good stuff. Sony's was a little bit of a distant third because of the pacing issues, but overall, like all three conferences. Or I don't even know. Nintendo's not really a conference; it's a direct. Whatever. All three events were pretty great overall.
I can't speak to the other presentations because I obviously only watched the one, but I was addicted to Treehouse Live like
yeah,
those
they had
last
a
3
lot
days
of good
that week.
stuff.
And it was wall-to-wall gameplay too. It wasn't just here's a bunch of trailers for things that
Yeah.
not even like in engine.
It's like, hey, for the next hour, Miyamoto is going to explain to you how this Project Guard thing works, which is exactly what I want out of that Project Guard thing, is for Miyamoto to explain it for an hour. So thanks.
Okay, so before we move on, I feel like Henry hasn't had much of a chance to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Sure.
How do you guys know I want to talk about that?
You were doing this, which was confusing, so I didn't know what to.
It's an X. Get it?
No.
At least it's got almost a real name now.
Almost.
No, it doesn't. It's called
know.
Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's not
It's
a
better than calling it
Still
Xenoblade Chronicles.
Still better than half the names
What
I've
happened
heard
to-
us talk about today.
What happened to Xenoblade Chronicles 2 through 9, guys? Come on.
Right?
It's the reason I bought a Wii U, so it was really nice to see them come out with a large extended gameplay video. Character models aren't out of the park, but the environments are.
To be
and
fair, the ones in
enemy
Xenoblade
design-
weren't either.
No, but I mean, yeah, it's not a deal breaker for me, especially when the environments look so good. The enemy design looks great, and just I sort of clip in my mind over and over of seeing these expansive, amazing worlds which look just as creative as Xenoblade's. You could argue Xenoblade has some of the best sort of world design we've seen in a game in a really long time. Just amazing. So to see that kind of creativity in HD, being able to go into a mech and fly all over this place, which is what you sort of wished you could do in the other Xenoblade levels, is just knocked it out of the park for me. I'm just so thrilled, very excited. Again, it's the reason I bought a Wii U, along with the Mario Kart deal and stuff like that. But that's the killer app for me, and I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping it's really good.
I'm just hoping it gets spaced out.
Did you just see the footage that was at the event, or did you see any of the Treehouse Live stuff?
I watched there were 4 videos I watched. One was like 40 minutes broken down into 4 parts, but I'm not sure if it was the Treehouse one or the event one.
Were there people sitting and playing through it and talking through it?
Yeah, they were talking about it. Yeah,
that was probably the day one presentation day one Treehouse Live that they did.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting how so far the main character is going to be customizable.
That's weird.
Deeply customized.
Yeah, you don't normally see that in sort of a JRPG very often, other than you can like name them, but that's about it. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not.
The fear there is that like that main character won't be as integral to the stories like Shulk was in Xenoblade.
I mean, yeah, I did enjoy Shulk as a protagonist. I like character design in the Xenoblade. I thought the plot got a little shaky near the end, but overall,
as a Xeno title, what were you expecting?
Well, that's true. That's good.
Yeah,
it was still more coherent than Xenogears, but you know what? I'm willing. It's new, but again, I'm willing to see where it goes, and it's certainly not going to prevent me from buying it. I'm buying it no matter what at this point.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you a little. I think the main character's silent. You make him, you create him, and everything.
Wasn't silent. Had some voices.
Was he not silent?
I think you have voice. Like it may be like small lines here and there, but there were definitely options on voices.
He has voice during battle, I think, but it's not
I think one of the scenes, like he asked.
They better be able to make an option where you can turn off the constant shouting in battle. I know what they were going for.
You don't want it to be Rhyme time
especially
again?
if the game's like 90 hours long.
Always Rhyme time.
What a bunch of jokes.
Zero time.
This is the Monado!
Yeah.
A bunch of jokers! Oh my god, like I get it. You don't have to keep shouting.
Henry, were you the voice of Ryan in Xenoblade? Is this...
No, I wish, man. If I was in a video game, you would never hear the end of it.
I do hope we get more of that spiffy British voice acting though, because that was.
Oh yeah, no, I did like that. Yeah, and have like the real Cockney accent for the villains. That worked really well.
I do actually. I want more of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of what I liked about the.
Well, a bunch of jokers. Just like 80 times an hour. So it'd be nice if you could turn that up. It reminds me of Batten Kaitos, where you could thankfully turn off all voice acting, which is how that game should be played.
I played with the voice acting on the whole time.
Mercilessly terrible at that.
The weird thing about Batten Kaitos is the actual quality of the voice acting got better on the second disc. Like the first disc.
Are you sure?
Yes. But not
man.
Like
I remember the intro video. The prince is like, "It's unthinkable to go against the Empire." I'm just like, give this guy some direction. Is this a ninth grade like theater student? He's a professionally paid actor, and he's reading it like, oh, God.
Well, I mean, he was probably paid, but maybe not at a professional rate.
I would have done it for free, and I would have done it better.
I believe you.
In 2002 or whenever they had to do those sessions.
Yes. The actual acting didn't get better. The quality of the voice clips got better.
Oh, interesting. Oh, okay. Well, I turned it off the whole time.
Maybe it's because they were crammed for space on disc 1 and they had to make the
It was like listening to like a classically trained pianist because the soundtrack was so good next to like someone who'd never played a saxophone before try and play the saxophone.
Talking through a cardboard tube.
The contrast of voice acting versus these amazing, epic, sweeping melodies, and then being like, "The Empire." No.
I will say,
off.
They did improve it in the sequel, though.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, Gio was great.
Anyway,
Anyway, going off on a tangent. So that's what I was most excited about. Oh,
I
shit.
just want to say one thing. I think like the thing that struck me the most about the original Xenoblade was the fact that like when I got to a cliff in that game, like when you first get to Colony 9 and then there's like a fence you can jump over, I was like, there's going to be an invisible wall here, right? And then I just jump off and fall into the water below. And that was awesome. So then during the demo, it was the first demo they did during the Clubhouse stream, they said, oh, you can jump off this cliff if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's like, all right, I'm glad they're continuing the tradition of being able to jump off cliffs recklessly for no reason.
And wind up next to a giant level 45 dinosaur ready to stomp your face.
Yeah, so that's great. I'm glad they're continuing that. So, Xenoblade.
Yeah, that makes me curious about like a Xenoblade speedrun. I could get.
You mean for the first one?
Yeah.
I don't know how you speedrun a 60-hour game. I mean, I guess people can do anything these days.
40 hours.
They can tool assisted or whatever, they'll be able to do it, but it wouldn't be a great watch.
Oh well. Anyway, so let's wrap things up by just talking about the things that maybe weren't first party things. And I'll go ahead and start since I mentioned something earlier, but you guys think about that sort of stuff. But I did want to talk about the Final Fantasy Type 0 HD localization, which, I mean, we'd heard for a long time that it was the fact that this was this 2-disc PSP game, and that was why we weren't getting it. And if it ever got re-released on anything, that we'd probably get it. So now it's being re-released on the PS4 and the Xbox One. So we're getting it. Is anybody else excited about that? Like, I'm not even a Final Fantasy guy, but I'm excited about it.
I am, because I will say I have a couple of friends who have the PSP game and can actually read Japanese. So they basically, since that game came out, have been talking nonstop about how good it is and why, and being sad that we don't have it in English. So I'm glad A, it's coming out here. B, it's going to be on a console instead of a handheld. I know some people were disappointed by the fact that it's not also going to be on Vita because they had that slip up when they first announced it, but.
Yeah, but this is better.
Yeah, I hope. Yeah, I'm excited because I want more things to play on my Vita because I just want something to play on my Vita, please.
I should stay positive. It does look cool. I probably will get it eventually. At this point, I probably won't be like super stoked about anything Final Fantasy until 15 comes out, and that's if it's really good. Everything else is just really.
Although, Theater Rhythm Curtain Call should be in.
Oh, I meant other than that one. I thought that was obvious, you guys.
But no, I was gonna say, what if Graham and I both are like in love with the game and say it's one of our favorite games of whatever year it comes out? I assume not till 2015. What if we say that? Will you be on board? Will you listen to us?
You guys know, hey, I got a Wii U because of you guys. If you guys tell me to get this, I trust you implicitly. I will do almost anything you tell me. So if you say it's amazing, I'll get it.
Okay. You want to go next, Henry?
Third party. Does Bayonetta 2 count as third party? Probably not, hey?
No.
Technically, yeah, it does, because
third party developers
making games for other consoles too.
Not
so
third party publishers, so.
That was that was the one I had lined up. Help me out, guys. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Devil's Third.
There's a lot of games.
Oh no,
yeah.
there's so many.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? The one I do want to try eventually is that Luge. Was it Project? Is it Morpheus? Project Morpheus or Project?
Are you thinking of the VR?
Oculus?
Yeah. Project. I want to try that. That was the one thing where I'm just like that was totally off my radar in terms of like what I was expecting or like what I thought I'd be interested in, and I wanted to play that. I saw Conan O'Brien do his E3 bit, and he played that. And like it does look pretty fun. I'm not saying I'm gonna get like hours of gameplay out of it, but like I would try a demo. I tried the Oculus Rift demo. It blew my mind. I was so impressed. So I'll go with that as sort of.
For a second, I thought you were talking about a game and not the actual VR thing. That's why I was confused. But you are talking about the VR headset that Sony's working on, right?
Right.
Okay, good.
They had a Luge demo. I want to try that Luge demo. That's my answer. Luge.
Okay. Chris?
Sure.
Is there a
I guess
third-party
all-
title I would be interested in coming out soon? Let me think about this real quick. Yeah,
it couldn't be Monster. It couldn't be Monster
Right.
Hunter. Could it?
Couldn't possibly be Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. No, I liked.
But I want Monster Hunter like an updated one on a console, like Wii U. I want Monster Hunter 5. When's that coming out?
Probably never.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah,
For
Chris.
Wii U,
when's that
probably
coming
not.
out? You
I was
should
so
know about
jealous
Monster
watching you and Graham bond over hunting monsters. I'm like, man, I wish I could be there with
I'm so bad at the game.
with my ginger brother. You were fine. You did great.
That's not the educated opinion.
No, but I liked everything. I liked everything I saw from it. Capcom Unity had a couple of streams with the director and the producer, and they were also on the Treehouse one day showing the exact same thing. 'Cause that's we have a limited demo. It's what you have to show. But I like the look of the two new monsters they showed. I'm very interested in trying out at least one of the two new weapons. That insect glaive looks amazingly fun. And I can't wait for it to get here, and I just hope there's enough time between it and Xenoblade Chronicles that they don't run over each other and kill me.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm assuming Zelda U is at the end of 2015 at the very earliest. I know Monster Hunter 4 U is early 2015, probably
Monster Hunter
March.
for me?
Right. But Xenoblade could fall at any point around that, and I don't know if I have that kind of free time. Like, hopefully it would fall in, like, let's shoot for the moon and say June. That seems early for that game, though. But
I feel like we'll get it September, and like Japan will get it May, because it was slated for this year until E3. So I feel like it will be ready before holiday season.
Either way, I'm hoping there's enough time that I'm comfortable enough with the new Monster Hunter that I can justify not spending my every waking hour playing that game. I mean, I do reach that point occasionally, like when I had to play Mario Kart for a week and a half.
Yeah.
I put the hunting down and raced around in circles for a bunch.
Chris, put the hunting down. Okay. I'm trying to pick one, but I can't. It's hard because it's like there's The Witcher 3.
Oh, come on, Andrew. I had a hard time picking one. It's easy to pick one
You
from
just
many.
picked a demo for a tech demo for a thing that's
Hey, you pick one.
okay. All right. I mean,
Guys,
I want
get
to say
ready
The
to make fun
Witcher
of Andrew for
3.
picking a lame one.
I want to say The Witcher 3 because that demo at the
Witcher
Microsoft
3?
conference.
What a terrible answer.
I know you don't like The Witcher 2 because you're a horrible person. but
I am.
The Witcher 3, that might be my choice. Also, I don't know. It's just there's so many.
Are you getting sucked into Videodrome? You look like you're like in some like 80s movie getting digitized. What happened? Did you turn off the lights?
Just lights off.
My light was never on, and this is the result of.
That's not true. Your light was definitely on.
That was the light from the window over here. I promise. It's just there was never a light on because it's cold. Here, watch. There we go. Now there's this glare behind me. So I can just do this for the rest of the.
Well, what was? Okay, I don't want to know. I'm sorry. High five.
Hey, hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hey. So The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 is definitely. I'm just gonna say The Witcher 3. That's it. I really.
His hand
I
again.
actually
Solemnly swear. 3.
3.
Here we go. The Witcher 3 is my pick. I haven't watched that Metal Gear Solid 5 30-minute demo that went up today from E3 last year. If you want, I can just let it. It's fine. You guys get blinded by the light.
Blinded. No.
Well, you beat me to it.
I was wondering who would snag that first. Yeah, like Metal Gear Solid 5. You haven't watched the gameplay from E3 yet, but it's Metal Gear Solid, so duh. Yeah, I mean those are my two. I guess I have like a list of 30 I could go through, but we'll be here for another hour if I do that. So, but yeah, The Witcher 3 at Microsoft's event looked really cool. You hunted a griffin, that was awesome. Open world Witcher. Geralt has a beard now. That means I can relate to him more.
You just got everything you wanted, didn't you?
Yeah.
No. Yes. This E3, Andrew got everything he wanted.
Seriously, this is one of my favorite E3s in a long time. So so many games. There are 12 games coming out in October that I want to buy. What do I do?
How many
Gotta
games
start
are
saving
coming out
up.
before October that you want to buy?
Vacation time.
Huh?
How many games are coming out between now and October, in the multi-month period between now and October?
Like,
How many
for
games
me?
before then?
3 or 4 maybe?
Yeah.
Like 3, I think. Yeah, I think there's like Destiny comes out in September. I'm actually probably going to get Forza Horizon 2, which is the day before October, so I guess it's technically not October. And then Valiant Hearts comes out next week.
Yeah.
There'll probably be some. To be fair, there'll probably be a lot of like surprise, like indie announcements, like, "Hey, we're coming out next week in July." But as of right now, there's nothing. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
Hey.
I think we've covered it. But yeah, so yeah, man, summer, we got it. We got to hunker down. You know, we got to forage for games and live off them for a few months.
Just me bunkering down. I don't know how to.
I trust Ingersoll to lead us on that because I feel like he'd be good at hunting these things.
Only things that are meter.
Gaps without any new games.
I am. I'm still sitting on Oracle of Seasons that I haven't touched yet. So
There you go. All right. So we're gonna wrap up the show, but thanks to Andrew, Henry, and Chris for joining us, and see you guys next time.
It was fun. See you guys.
Don't follow the lights.